Welcome to the 168th episode of News Dump, where we run through the hottest topics in the Lewis County news scene and discuss. It's Tuesday, December 12th. I'm local man Aaron VanTuyl, joined by Chronicle Editor-in-Chief Eric Schwartz, Assistant Editor Isabel Vander, Stoep, and at some point this evening, Photo Editor Jared Wenzelburger. We are also joined in spirit, as always, by sponsors Summit Funding and The Roof Doctor.
Hey, we're one away from my 100th episode.
We don't do that.
It won't be my actually 100th, but 100 since I started.
Are you trying to be edgy and make a big deal out of episode 169?
No,
because we did that last time.
That's when I started. Yeah, my first one was 69.
Mm-hmm.
Nice round number, easy to remember.
Very, very well done. Schwartz has a list he would like to present. He is prepared rather than consulting the notes document. He has made his own notes on his all-area list of sources for the Chronicle. I don't know what brought this on, but he's very excited about it. He's been talking about it for the last hour.
All-area news.
Yeah, I was inspired by the sports department this week. Did their all-area volleyball team. They
also did girls soccer.
If you'd let me finish my sentence,
football
then
is
I would
pending.
have said that. Yes, all of that is true. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just jot down the names of the top 10 sources that I can think of off the top of my head. So, you ready?
Are these like sources whose names appear in stories?
These
are
just
this
people
is
that
in
give you
terms of
ideas.
value to the news.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
I have a list that I have.
Okay. And these are ranked in no particular order until I get to my MVP. But we
Okay.
have Tom Stanton from the Lewis County Auditor's Office.
Definitely.
Okay.
We have Chehalis City Councilor Daryl Lund,
Oh, yeah.
owner
Okay.
of Minuteman Press, and the reason Jared is not here, he was covering the ribbon cutting. Little one. This is a little close to home for Isabel, but Jay Vander Stoep for his flooding expertise. I get a call from him when the water
wasn't on
goes
my
up.
list.
He's on my list. If you got something about flooding, Vander Stoop's got a call. I'm throwing Stacy Denham on here because he is the most responsive of our law enforcement, Centralia Police Chief. George Sharp, just geographically,
Oh, yeah.
very important. All of South Thurston County, which we all hold near and dear. Bill Saran out in Packwood. You got to have Bill Saran on there. He's an asset. This will surprise no one, but Old Man Transalta.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Well,
Gotta have old
my
man.
favorite source.
Yeah, Old Man Transalta. We still have his Cole sitting here, I believe.
Yeah.
right,
He's
kinda
not
even.
often quoted, but,
But he's a source. You
He
know?
is a
Sometimes
source.
you got to keep those things quiet.
Can I
Yeah.
guess the MVP?
No, not yet. PL man David Lee. You guys might know him as the Paul Revere of tire piles. He lets us
Nice,
know when he sees one. So
I loved the throwback photo of a tire pot, like a fire at OK Tire, whatever it
I know, I
was.
saw that too. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
We might have to work that into the photo
I think
this
that's,
week.
that's it.
Just us in there. And then I have Ross McDowell,
Yep.
emergency management for Lewis County. And then I have Chris Thomas over there at Providence.
Okay. Did you put a top 10 or what is this? How many?
There's 10 of them, I think, but I
Okay.
didn't count. Chris Thomas, and he's now on the Centralia College Board of Trustees, but he's just a good guy in general. And then our MVP, you can guess now.
Chip Duncan, Veterans Memorial Museum.
He could be on this list, but he is not. Sorry. He should have been. That's an oversight on my part. But it is Mary Astrid who brings us pastries every time we write about veterans.
That's very good.
Maybe when we mention her on a podcast.
I feel
We'll
like
find
this
out
is
tomorrow.
something you should have done at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I-
There's not thankful. It's just my all-area team.
Okay.
So congratulations.
All right.
We'll be doing a photo tomorrow at the closest tire park.
If you didn't make the team, proper protocol is to have your one of your parents send us a nasty email.
Yes.
Address it to Schwartz.
I had Salvation Army Captains Jen and Stephen Pack on mine.
Those are good too.
Couple Pincho Partners people, definitely just kind of the group in general for me. And like every fire chief.
See, that's why it's an all-area team.
Yeah,
you
no, I know.
There's
It's-
always next year.
Yeah.
Except for the seniors.
And like, there's no one
deep
person.
joke.
Yeah.
There's no one person for this, but just like Lewis County Rotarians, definitely always coming in clutch with good coverage stuff.
Getting pretty
Those
broad
are
here.
Honorable
Yeah.
mentions.
We're just going to have to say Lewis and Thurston County residents at this point.
No,
yeah.
that was more
Wow.
specific.
So you missed it, Jared. Jared's here with us now. This is Chronicle photo editor Jared Wenzelburger.
But
How was
honestly-
Daryl Lund? He made the all-area source team, so...
Daryl Lund, he was happy. He was in a good mood. He had a lot of family there with him today. Bob and Greg Lund were in joining with his team down at Minuteman Press.
Family.
Well,
Just Bob and Greg?
he also had his entire family at Minuteman Press.
Yeah.
All the employees.
Company family.
And the city of Chehalis.
So Julie didn't go?
There was a lot of
Emma
people
didn't
there.
go?
It was a good turnout.
It was a great turnout.
They were doing free photo printing on their wide press. Did anybody bring photos to
There was
have
a lot of
printed?
photos that were getting printed off, posters. Student athletes had portraits done that were getting printed off there, and they looked really good.
that's cool.
We at the Chronicle actually have a photo that was getting printed off there from the Centralia lighted
Oh, you
tractor
did
parade.
it. That's awesome.
So they said if we come back tomorrow and pay a little bit, no, not really, they'll do it better for us. So they were a little busy today, just rushing out a bunch of prints, but they were coming out like mad. There was so many photos getting printed off there, and it was really quick.
It's awesome.
What a big day for Daryl Lund. He gets the ribbon cutting. He gets all area team. Just a big day.
Yeah, that's a good story, Crawler. If this were a 90s sitcom, or a 90s rap group, we would call it DJ Jazzy Jarrett and the Fresh Prince.
I don't get the joke there, but...
I don't either.
Oh, the Fresh Prince. I got
Get
it.
it? You see? Yeah.
See, normally that
Prince.
would take me till I got home and listened to the
I got
podcast.
it,
You're that
okay.
quick, Aaron.
News items. First up, something that matters to all of us, or should. A run on land. Assessor breaks down property valuations as landowners express sticker shock. You could just kind of like plug in new names and run this story every year. Ross Nielsen, the assessor, discusses the complaints they've gotten about how it all works, and it is complicated. Taxes don't always correspond with assessed value, which is still confusing. I got tuckered out trying to write notes on this story and just stopped.
When Mitchell, in his first draft of this, had kind of a first person version of it where he talked about every reporter at the Chronicle has to write this story.
Yeah.
It's an annual tradition, which I don't think made it in the final cut, but still that definitely stands.
Yeah, I don't know. Property taxes go up. It happens. I was really upset about it last year. I obviously,
know,
as you
I-
know, I haven't got my property tax bill yet.
You were foaming at the mouth last year.
Yeah, well,
So there's one thing that this story highlights that I don't feel I really have included in my past coverage of the land valuations was Ross Nielsen talks about how in Centralia, when there was a school levy passed, even though the property valuations rose a lot, went down a lot in 1 year, the taxes ended up going up just because there were more levies, right? So it's just a good thing to remember that essentially, yeah, your valuation matters on how much you're going to pay, but the places that you pay for, the junior taxing districts, are the ones who decide your rates. And those rates are based on services that most of the time people want to have. It's just not as simple as my value went up, now I'm going to pay more. It's not exactly that.
Okay. Next item.
Where's the money, Ross?
Whoa. We've got a whole section on that coming up. Congressional candidate Joe Kent meets with voters in Napavine. Joe Kent said if he beats Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez this time around, he'll have defeated 2 incumbents, which is like a swinger at a party saying he's 2 yeses away from a threesome.
Oh, come on. I actually hadn't thought about that before he said that, even though it's obviously true that he would have done that.
He would have, and he'd still never have been an elected official.
But he didn't. Yeah, I was just going to say he only beat her in the primary.
But he beat her.
Yeah. Anyway, he complains about the elections process because the real swing vote was apparently the mail and not the fact that his candidacy disgusted a lot of people. Democrats won't talk about issues, he said. All they do is name call and say, these guys are racist, these guys are zealots. They don't want to discuss the issues. And then he goes on to describe the issues, which are transgender kids, Joe Biden and the border, opening the border to illegals so they can vote Democrat, which is by definition impossible. And statistically, the Border Patrol has been arresting more people than ever. And also Joe Biden racking up debt. I'm not going to, we just had this discussion at the bar.
I didn't go to a bar with you.
But my favorite part of the story was that Kent followed up his appearance at Napavine by stopping at the Duck Inn in Skamakaway on Saturday. Have any of you been to Skamakaway and or the Duck Inn?
No.
I got to say, your bias notwithstanding, I thought it was an interesting story and fairly done by Mitchell.
Sure.
I thought that this was a typo because I had never heard of Skamakaway. I had to Google it.
I believe my parents' either wedding reception or rehearsal dinner was at the Duck Inn.
Is it in Pacific County?
It's in...
Just guessing off of nothing, by the way.
I think it's Wahkiakum County.
It's Wahkiakum.
Okay.
It's between like Kathlamet and Rossburg.
Okay. Yeah, that's out there.
It is
Six people listening will know...
It's
what
really
that
hard
means.
to live in one place as long as I have and not know that this place is just an hour and a half away. I've never
I accidentally crashed a funeral there one time.
crashed a funeral.
Accidentally?
Anyway.
Go on. I'm interested in that.
We were coming back from a basketball game, and we're like, you know what? It's a late night on a Friday. We're like watching my cousins play, and it's like, the Duck Inn, it's hopping. Let's pop in there. So we were all rowdy and hop out of the car and roll in and order drinks and look around, and everybody's very somber and dressed in black, and we're like, what the hell's going on? And then somebody moves out of the way, and we see like the science fair style poster board set up with somebody's pictures surrounded in flowers in the corner. We're like,
Well, clearly they
get the hell out of here.
They didn't kick you out, right? They did, it wasn't like it was.
I mean, if you're having
reserved.
a funeral at the Duck Inn, you got to expect that kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure they were glad we were there for
Every
as long as
funeral
it took to
I've
drink
been
one
to at
Coors
the
Light.
Duck Inn.
Yeah.
Not only is there, how do you pronounce it again?
Skamakaway?
Not only is there a Skamakaway, but there is a Skamakaway Valley that is directly to the north.
Is it a river?
I don't know. It just says here online that it's a second census designated place.
It's down in like Grays River area.
Yeah, so two places I've never heard of, but very cool. And I'm going to put that on my bucket list. How was the Duck Inn?
It was 16
Great
years
name
ago.
for
Just focused
for a
on the
bar.
funeral, probably.
The funeral kind of stole the show.
Yeah.
I've been there once or twice.
Is it a straight up bar or is there like an inn?
Like Brooklyn Tavern vibe.
I can't remember.
Can you
No,
sleep
it's not
there?
Brooklyn Town. I don't think you can sleep there.
So it's strictly for the quality of the name that you duck in.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, it's. I
like
know.
creative bar names. We had the.
Oh, you duck in. I get it.
Yeah, you duck in.
Duck in. They got an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet
just
this
got that.
Sunday. Oh, that was last Sunday.
We need to get them for sponsors.
Anyway, this is the most the Duck Inn has ever been talked about on any podcast.
The Duck Inn is a newly remodeled, family-friendly restaurant and bar.
Well, that funeral wasn't very family-friendly. I'll tell you that.
Visit wahkiakum.us.com to
Not
learn
an
more.
inn.
Next up, State Commissioner revokes former Morton Police Chief Roger Morningstar's peace officer certification.
Shocking.
The Criminal Justice Training Commission confirmed this on Thursday. He cannot legally serve as a cop, tribal, or corrections officer in Washington. He can petition for reinstatement in 5 years. The commission issued a statement of charges on October 2nd, which included allegations he sexually harassed fellow employees and citizens at both the Morton Police Department and his previous jobs. He lied on his application to the Morton Police Department. He misused public funds, and he mishandled an investigation into an attempted burglary by a registered sex offender. He had 60
The slowest
days.
moving news story of all time.
He had
Yeah.
60 days to request the hearing. He didn't bother to do that. He resigned from Morton, where he'd been chief since 2016 this summer. He was also removed a few months later from the county's Veterans Advisory Board and is no longer the state committeeman for the Lewis County Republicans. Again, it's just wild to me that he was a member of a county advisory board, a state Republican committeeman, and a police chief held in such high regard that the sheriff would refer cities to him, no matter how far away he was, to cover their policing. And yet no one involved with him on a professional level or a volunteer political level, whatever, had any idea that he sexually harassed far more people than he should have,
Which
lied
is
on his
one.
application, misused public funds, and mishandled an investigation into an attempted burglary by a sex offender.
Far more people than he should have. Yeah, that starts with one person,
Yeah.
Aaron.
This all leads me to believe that either Roger Morningstar is a two-faced, talented Mr. Ripley-level criminal genius whose lurid past finally caught up with him, or everyone else around him thought he was such an effective lawman and politically compelling figure they overlooked his misgivings.
Or they felt threatened by him.
Or they were just lazy.
No, I'm not saying.
It could also be a mixture of all three of those things.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Well, I mean, the first one's kind of far-fetched.
I'm not saying, like, I'm not trying to justify. I'm just trying to give reasons. Like, it's possible that he's a spooky guy. I don't know. Maybe he yelled at them a lot. I'm
Yeah,
not
maybe.
Definitely
sure.
not the rap sheet you want if you want to petition for reinstatement in 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
again-
we had tips from the community of a far more sordid nature than even was announced. So, like, and we don't repeat those or report them because we don't know them to be fact. But yeah, there were people talking about this. So, and to Isabel's point, I do think that there's something to be said for that. If you're the only police chief in an entire half of a county, like, and you seem to be embraced and beloved by the dominant county party, you might be reluctant to bring forward information.
And
Yeah.
furthermore, some of the CJTC investigation centered around his like alleged ties to extremist groups, and whether like they did not find, I guess I can't remember how they said it, but at least not enough significant evidence to have that as a part of this. But you know, we have photos of him like with people who are from what you might describe as extremist groups.
One of my
And-
photos was mentioned in that report
right,
as well.
Right. So, I mean, I just think it's safe to say there is like a lot more to do with how people viewed him or how they were willing to talk to him than what this report could cover.
All right. Anything
Again,
else?
just to speak to the slow moving nature, it is. You know me, Aaron. I'm big friend of law enforcement. I'm a fan, but I don't think it should be this hard to get rid of someone forever. Like when they're that bad. I say the same thing for Phil Reynolds at the Centralia Police Department, which you haven't seen the final story on that either. Like it has not been finished yet. Like, I mean, if you're bad at your job in any other industry, it's very easy to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but there has been
starting with-
advances there, so that's positive.
I was thinking that same thing. It's like when you're listing all of this stuff, if I did any one of those things, I would get fired. And then maybe if I did more of them, I would be facing criminal charges. But like in this case, it's just a question of whether or not he could be fired forever from this one job.
Well, and let us not forget his biggest crime, according to the county commissioners, he stopped showing up to meetings. And they had to
not
take
a
him
real-
off the Veterans
It's
Advisory
not a
Board.
real thing, but yeah. They
I
did
mean, that
take him
was-
off the advisory
That
board.
was their implication.
No.
Anyway, speaking to the commissioners,
There's a lot of notes here, man.
buckle up.
boy.
Commissioners adopt 2024 budget over objection from Lindsay Pollock. Higher costs, including at the Lewis County Jail, have led the county officials to make spending cuts, consider additional cuts, and also declare their support for law enforcement. Now, spending cuts, that's budget related. That works. Consider additional cuts? Sure, that's part of the job. Declare their support for law enforcement. Why?
Because the law enforcement's a branch of county government and they ask for money and they have to determine one way or the other. You're a smart guy, Aaron. Don't act confused about stuff that's
Yeah,
blatantly
it's
obvious.
political posturing.
I don't think so. I mean, they could have also declared support for the auditor's office or something like that, I guess. But
Well,
I
is the
don't-
auditor's office doing a bad job of auditing and also asking for a huge budget
No, I
increase?
didn't mean that at all. I was throwing out a random one, but I'm just like that.
Of course they're not, because they're effective.
Do you see rallies for like assessor lives mad, like assessor, like blue lives, but for
Do
assessor?
you see
like,
rallies outside
obviously,
the auditor's
the
office
people
asking, why won't you
care-
answer questions about our dead
The
friend?
people care about law enforcement and security and all that good stuff. I don't know. I'm just this soapbox. It's just
Anyway,
Oh, that made my stomach hurt.
get like a padded cushion to ride on this thing.
the the budget includes expenditures of $200.1 million and revenue of $172.2 million. That's damn near a $30 million hole. You could have settled at least one of your outstanding lawsuits with that much money.
Crickets. You got the cricket over there?
But at the center of the contention is the Lewis County Jail, which has seen a reduced inmate population in recent months. Is this because they just started turning away criminals a few months ago?
It's been well reported by the Chronicle that there's a shortage in corrections officers.
The sheriff asked for another $1 million for law enforcement and the jail. They gave him another $400,000 for the jail. At no point did they consider asking him to, be accountable for any of this or come explain some of the lawsuits or, anything else, the issues of the jail, anything like that. Sean Swope did say they needed more funding for law enforcement, and once they've filled their open positions, he'll advocate for still more funding. I don't think you can ever lose with providing more public safety for people in our community. He said, that to me is money well spent. If we have to make cuts at other places to provide public safety, that's just what we have to do. And right now we're undersized. We're not right-sized. The thing that I keep coming back to is you could just ask law enforcement leadership to be more accountable. We don't hear a lot of stories about Chehalis or Centralia Police bungling murders or not getting invited to JNet parties or the Green Hill bust or being the subject of lawsuits or losing deputies to go work for nearby police forces or refusing to send out a press release when they find a suspicious dead body or turning away criminals at the jail. Any of these things. Just come on in, hold your county commissioners meetings and ask some questions instead of just declaring in a budget meeting, what we need to do is throw more money at this problem that doesn't really give a shit whether we do anything with our budget. I lost the train of thought.
It's okay.
Anyway.
I just realized that today is the 1-year anniversary of the YMCA lawsuit filing.
Mm-hmm.
And we still don't have any real update on it, but just kind of a fun thing to remember.
It's probably just going to go away.
Seems like a thing we should do.
I've been looking at it. They just keep doing motion hearings, and then they say this thing, and then they look at this, and then they say this. There's no actual, I think the record's still open for it. I don't understand it.
Okay.
According to Scott Brummer, the budget is a living document and can be amended as needed. Buddy, that's champagne talk and you're in a bushlight town. You can pull the living document crap out when you've got disposable income, not when you have a $30 million gap and you're trying to fill it with butterflies and rainbows, but not the gay ones.
Okay.
If this were
I feel like it's a great time to remind folks that Aaron's crusades are not all of our crusades, and Aaron's incendiary comments are not all of our incendiary comments. Though I am also proud of a lot of what you say, and I respect your ability to have an opinion and be passionate about it. I just don't want it to overwhelm the point that it doesn't necessarily or at all reflect the opinion of the newsroom. We approach all of these things fairly. We try to report them as accurately as we can, and we don't insert our own opinions. All of that should be obvious, but I feel like it needs to be restated every once in a while. And the county rolls you go on are just hard to slow and let people know that we're still just going to report what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Having said that, your stuff on law enforcement is fair. I think said less bombastically would be easier to accept even for people who support the sheriff's office. Just to, I am curious why, there should be some questioning of the controversy. I agree with you on that.
And I look, you know me. I get a little carried away.
You get a little worked up about the commissioners. Yes, you do.
But if this were any other situation, any other government office or contractor involved with the county or anything like that, department, what have you, the commissioners would climb up on a soapbox and sermonize about accountability and imply that somehow woke was to blame while telling them to get their own books in order and come back and show them why they need more money. But instead, the answer we're getting here is we regret that we have but an additional $400,000 to give you.
I can see that.
It's just look, you want to say, hey, we need more money for law enforcement? Fine. Can they meet you halfway? Do a little something?
I also think, unrelated to that, but that we at the Chronicle have more work to do in explaining why there is a deficit now. Because I think over the last few years, it just hasn't come up. I can recall 2017, 2018, 2019 being called over to the county for them to explain to us why a deficit is actually not a bad thing and that it's normal governance. Like, it's not new that they've been running at a deficit. No. It has newly emerged as an issue. And just for me, I don't think we've nailed that yet. And that's not like a insult to Mitchell Rowland, our county reporter, or anything. And he's still working on it. I think we need to report, like, how much reserves were used, where does that relate to past years, and give it a little more body. Because I'm not there yet in understanding how we went from not having a deficit to that being the dominant discussion in budget season.
And I don't think having a deficit is necessarily the worst thing in the world. But when it's the kind of deficit that causes you to wake up one morning and, lay off or eliminate a total of 6 positions to save $500,000, and like when that happens, it makes it feel a lot more like this kind of snuck up on you.
Yeah. Well, you know my opinion on government and
yes, I do.
Whatnot.
Share.
Half it.
There's too much
at the state level. I'm not talking about the county level. I hate to see anyone lose their job, state level, federal, whatever. But I don't know. I think we should also look at the state and the rampant spending there, Aaron.
You would love to see every position in the marijuana police department eliminated, wouldn't you?
That's personal and stinging, and I don't know why you had to go there. I'm just saying, I still firmly believe. I didn't believe. I probably agree with Lauren Culp on much, but I do think that state government a little big.
Well, state government took it to heart, and his entire police department was eliminated. So there you go.
Very well.
Talking about budgets and positions being lost, really making me feel sad for the Mariners right now.
Gosh, I thought that was... Oh, I got this. You know what the Mariners have occasionally?
A roof.
A roof over their head.
Stadium.
Yeah, when they want to. I always wondered if when they built T-Mobile Park, did you think they consulted our local experts?
I think they should have if they didn't, because the Roof Doctor, a family-owned company since 1959, gives free estimates and works within your budget.
Yeah. Is your roof under the weather? Are your fans under the roof?
Do you think the Roof Doctor could do a roof over your house like T-Mobile Park? That when it's a sunny day, it just slides off?
Oh, retractable? Yeah, I'm sure they could.
I believe in their ability to do, I think, anything, including like fixing my personal problems. But yeah, I think that's doable.
Aaron,
if your personal problem is a roof, call the Roof Doctor.
Aaron, I challenge you to this, and I think you should do it. Call the Roof Doctor and ask them to come look at your house and give you a free estimate for what it would take to turn it into a retractable roof.
It's just like...
And then report back.
You guys have seen a convertible, right? What if my house was a convertible?
Yeah.
That just feels like such a waste of their time.
I feel like they just tell me to move into my car.
Could be good for like promotional stuff. Is that a BMW, Aaron? Do you own a BMW?
Oh, yeah. The BMW.
Yes.
Aaron was bragging about his BMW before. He literally walked in and was like, I own a BMW.
That's how I walk in every room.
He was like, oh, yeah, I think the BMW has that feature.
It was a cigarette lighter because it's a 23-year-old car. Anyway,
so it's vintage as well. Nice.
Call the Roof Doctor
nice.
at 360-736-0246, or if you would like to abandon your home and live in a Volkswagen like Eric Schwartz, don't call them. Visit theroofdoctor.com and click the Contact Us button to contact them. Moving on to more serious matters. There was a gun displayed during a robbery in downtown Centralia yesterday. No injuries were reported. Does someone have more information?
No, I mean, there hasn't been an arrest by now that I know. I mean, there's basic information. The guy walked up, displayed a gun. Jared was all over this yesterday. I should let him do the talking.
Yeah, no, there was K9 units. They had like the knee knocker, gas dispenser weapons. They had their AR-15s drawn, and they were running around trying to find this guy who tried to rob Lewis County Coffee Co. after displaying a weapon. So there was one...
Wasn't that he tried to, or that he did?
According to the reporting, he walked up, displayed a gun, demanded money, and the barista ran, is what it sounds like. And I don't know that. That was from you. That was your reporting, I think, from
Right. So I'm not sure if anything like major was taken, but it does sound like as soon as he presented the weapon, the barista who was in there ran, I think, to the Centralia Pharmacy building, and the assailant, the suspect, took off as she ran. So they still haven't located him. Yeah, they've been getting leads about where he might be. Like he's made contact with other people in the area, but they haven't been able to catch up to him yet.
Okay, well, I hope he's caught.
Despite the claims of some overconfident commenters, if I'm correct.
Right. I did see some comments saying he was caught already, but from what I've heard,
no one's been booked. I've been watching the jail bookings.
There's been a couple times I've heard over the scanner where it sounds like they might have a location on him, and they get there and he's not there. So,
Chase.
I did see when we
send in RoboCop.
I'm glad everybody's okay.
We shared the photo of the suspect today who was wearing a mask, and someone suggested that it should be illegal to wear a non-medical mask. A misdemeanor.
Sounds like a freedom of speech issue to me.
I do think it has been like an unexpected boon for criminals, like that you can wear a mask without raising suspicion anymore. Like it's not, for some reason, it's hard to remember that would be weird if you walked into a grocery store in 2019 and somebody was wearing a mask. You'd be like, well, this guy's up to no good.
That's fair.
Like, what is this guy hiding?
At the
Or
same
they're a
time,
responsible sick person.
But that wasn't a thing before. We didn't have responsible
people did.
We used to hack all over each other, Aaron.
that's not true.
Just to spit in each other's faces for fun.
Occasionally, when you see people before COVID, if you saw people in those like blue kind of papery doctor's office ones, I'd never thought that was weird.
I don't even remember that being a thing.
It's definitely a thing in Bellingham, maybe not in Chehalis.
Well, that charts.
Since we're moving away from this, I was going to say one other news piece that I don't know if you were going to include, but the Chehalis and Centralia police departments did like a bell ring off for the Salvation Army.
They sure
this
did.
Last week. And it was so sweet. And my favorite thing about this story, so the Centralia was at the Centralia Safeway, Chehalis at the Chehalis, and they were there for like from 2 to 4, and the competition is how much money you can raise. So they came within $6.77 of one another.
They, being the Chehalis Police Department, came within $6.76 of winning.
So it was,
but did not.
It was 1483.22 for Centralia and 1476.45 for Chehalis. I just think that's so great, like how close they were, and like it's just so much fun.
I also think it's great that Centralia defeated Chehalis in the Great Red Kettle Battle.
Yeah, it should have been on the front page.
It should have been. I thought about it, actually.
I think there was a teaser.
There was. I put it there. I think it was Centralia prevails. Centralia more generous is what it should have been.
I think if you put it in a teaser, it was on the front page. You know what I mean?
I thought it was funny when I read the comments and the Chehalis residents were saying, it's a much bigger Safeway in a much more populated area. It makes sense that Centralia won. And it was why are you justifying this, you know? It
just sounds like...
we just cared a little more this year. Centralia cared a little bit more.
Yeah, those polls, those polls are flawed. They don't take into account homes with 2 televisions, things of that nature.
It's true.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff and Julie from Fairway Lanes.
Jeff and I met Jasek of Summit Funding at our bowling center, so when we fell in love with this community and it was time to relocate, we knew we would be calling Summit Funding.
They understand that everyone has a unique situation when buying a home.
He had already helped 2 of our employees get into their own homes. The Summit Funding team exceeded our expectations. It was a seamless experience with great communication from his whole team.
Thank you to Summit Funding for making our buying experience special and memorable.
All right. We're back from break. This is where we go into segments. And first up, we have Tales from the Takes page, from which this producer has produced nothing.
Yeah, you did a poor job on the notes this week.
Yeah, I agree.
It looks like you spent 7 hours on the commissioners, and then we're just like, I'm done.
I have a submission for Tales from the Takes page.
Hold on, one more. I have to just get this out here because
Right,
I did do a Star Wars marathon recently.
Go
You're
on.
like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Like you used all your energy on the commissioners and then just disappeared into the vapor.
Yeah.
Whilst looking at the sun.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that was all. Sorry, that wasn't worth it, but it was worth it to me.
No,
And
it's
you're
fine.
like a stormtrooper because your shots always miss.
That's pretty good.
I'm sorry,
good.
but that was really good.
Pretty
yeah. All right. So this is one that's in today's paper. Letter to the editor, a 61-year-old's letter to Santa Claus. I'm just going to read the first two
This
graphs.
is Denise Cottingham from Chehalis.
Sounds like a fake name.
Just the first two
Could be.
graphs
I don't
for
know.
you. I was slowed by what appears to be a good old-fashioned common cold this first week of December, and this morning I found my 61-year-old self writing a letter to Santa. I would like to share it with you. Dear Santa, thank you for continuing to personify jolly, bountiful, magical generosity and goodwill for this red-haired child and senior citizen of the universe. I'm grateful that I never lost you to cynicism.
All right.
I never had him due to cynicism, so
And neither did your kids.
that's right.
There's something so pure, so earnest about the urge to write this letter and then send it to your local newspaper as a letter to the editor. And I just want to thank Denise for allowing us to publish that earnestness, because it is rare that this kind of thing makes it into the Chronicle.
Yeah, not because we don't have it, because we will always use it, as you know. But I also enjoyed the letter. I thought it was great, and I like departures from usual on letters too. Which we have another one that is also similar to that in that regard. That it's not something you normally get.
Go on.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
No, you go. You take it.
Well, it was just a thank you to Centralia police officers for checking on me. There was a guy who heard something at his window, and the Centralia police officers were really kind and came and checked on him, and it was just that.
It's
Let's.
it's a cliffhanger in my opinion.
Yeah, you gotta. I like how he sets this up. Last evening at midnight, I was awakened by a loud pounding on my bedroom window. Who hasn't been there? I looked out but didn't see anyone, so I slipped on my robe. Again, who hasn't been out there? And went into my living room where I observed a light through my front door window. And then this is where it gets, more normal. But he's like, oh, there's somebody pounding upon my door. It sounds like he's starting like a Christmas poem or something.
It was a little creepy.
Sounds
And he
like
looked
an
out.
Edgar Allan Poe
There were
situation.
police. They asked if he had called 911. They had proof that the 911 call came from his phone number. And anyways, he told them he was fine, saw them on his way, and then he wondered, should I be mad that they woke me up?
I don't
Nope.
know how I
support it.
missed that.
Yeah, no, that's the letter. That was the takeaway
No,
from most of the commenters.
That sentence, for some reason, I completely missed that. Said they had received a call from the address.
No, from his home phone is what it says.
It says call from the address and ask my home phone number.
But it also says he confirmed the call had come from my home phone.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
It's kind of
gosh.
creepy.
Okay.
I don't know
Wow, yeah,
who
no,
called
that is
911
creepy.
from his phone, but he was fine.
I clearly did not give this a thorough enough read.
There were
Sorry,
other theories
Jim.
in there. There's there's things that can prompt an automatic 911 call from a landline that could have done it.
Okay,
but
yeah.
In any case, Jim House and Trey is just fine. And he's
Yeah.
very thankful for the police, unlike someone in this podcast room.
I'm thankful for the police.
I
I love Stacey Denham and his RoboCop.
I was
Robert Cop.
just gonna make a comment on letters that stray from the normal. I'm not gonna name names because whatever. But one of my friends.
Breaking Bad.
Name some names.
Okay, I was gonna say a couple of years ago, Greg Lund was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and he had pneumonia, and he is somebody that a lot of people know and love and care about. And when he got out, he wrote a letter that was like, "Hey everybody, I'm doing fine. Thanks for your prayers. I'm gonna be back to work," or whatever. I think the idea that the letters to the editor can be that platform for literally just sending a message to your community is really, really special. And I don't think you're going to find that at literally any other newspaper in Washington.
Oh, we're wide open. Reflector, you could also find it at the Reflector.
Okay.
The Reflector has the richest letters to the editor, and even in comparison to the Chronicle, it's kind of amazing.
Fair. I guess I mean
No,
any
I-
other news organization.
Yeah, for sure.
Siren's Banger of the Week. Approximately 15 teenagers were reportedly, quote, smoking weed and drinking and being loud at a playground on December 8th. They were cited for the crime of being cool.
Oh, you support underage drinking and all that it entails. Doesn't surprise me.
Okay, wait.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
You're
See, you
not going
left
to
out
talk
the
about
first
the
part of that citation.
$7,700 worth of headlights that were stolen?
I tried to scroll through there and I couldn't find the headlights part. Enlighten me.
Oh, okay. I'm going to pull it up before.
Get it?
Yeah. Just let me pull it up on Siren so I can actually read it on there.
I feel like you guys aren't appreciating the bit there.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay. So, a theft was reported at an auto parts store on Pearl Street. At noon on December 9th, 2 women, quote, wearing full-length dresses and headscarves, end quote, reportedly stole over $1,400 worth of vehicle headlights and fled. About an hour later, officers received reports of 2 additional thefts at auto parts stores involving the same suspects who allegedly stole another $6,300 worth of headlamps. All thefts occurred 1 to 3 hours before they were reported to the police. What?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
What is
Very
that
targeted
about?
retail theft.
It's so wild.
Dude,
Only
is this like a
headlights.
Mrs. Doubtfire situation.
Or is it is there like a,
That's where you went with this? Did
is there like a,
Well, they wear full-size dresses and headscarves to steal headlights.
Have you seen Mrs. Doubtfire?
That's the premise of the movie, right?
No.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
And
it.
then at the end of the crime, they're like, and now I got my wife back.
But is there some kind of metal that's valuable in headlights?
Also, do you think that's how Miss Doubtfire ended? He got his wife back?
No, but that was like his point.
Okay, I just making sure
Think
you've
Robin
seen the
Williams
film.
is gonna steal one off Pierce Brosnan?
It's
Sir.
not just to get the wife back. It's to spend time with his children.
Yeah.
He really wants his kids back.
Yeah, not wife as much.
Well, I mean, she was part of the equation. She was fetching.
Oh.
Anyway.
You don't even want to get me started on that. I see her as such a villain in that movie when I watch it.
With the wife?
She's like Thanos to me.
Just one snap and it's all over.
It's like Robin Williams just trying to give his kid a good birthday party. I mean, give me a break.
He blows their birthday funds on like a donkey, and his wife's like, I just asked you to do one thing and not lose your job. And he's like, I didn't do it, and I lost my job.
Just forgive Robin Williams for wanting to make his children happy.
And then his wife goes out and scores Pierce Brosnan. Are you kidding me?
She's Darth Vader.
How can you see Sally Field as her, though? You know what I mean? She's so many different characters.
I meant just in that
You just
movie.
saw-
I get it. Okay.
Ever since I was a kid, I just watched
Did you
it. And
think
from
she
the
was the
very
villain as
beginning, I
Forrest
was
Gump's
like,
mom, too?
this woman is evil. Like, she is
Fried
evil.
green tomatoes?
Yeah.
Smokey and the Bandit?
What a travesty. I got home and my husband's having a party for my children.
Yeah.
I should leave him. It's just awful.
The kids didn't seem to be any worse off. They're quite happy with James Bond as their new dad.
All right. But we digress.
Anyway, People's Champion of the Week, Clean Team volunteers who help beautify Centralia. Despite the rise in people experiencing homelessness and the rubbish often left behind, the Centralia Clean Team's efforts have helped the streets get slowly cleaner. Clean Team volunteer Cindy Brown said, this is an article about her work and their work. Anyway, yeah, it was a good story. And it inspired me to want to go pick up bags and pick up some garbage.
Well,
I haven't done it yet, but I will.
I'm going to enter my nominee as Daryl Lund just because I want him to have the trifecta. And so now he has been nominated for Hero of the Week, has been on the Chronicle's all-area source team, and had his ribbon cutting on the same day, which has never been done in the history of Lewis County.
I thought you were going to say he had also been robbed and was the subject of Siren's Banger of the Week.
I hope not.
That's
something.
because, those things have never been a thing.
First time in the history of this world that
We'll
has
call
happened.
I feel
the
like you
Daryl
mentioned him.
Lund Award.
I feel like you've mentioned him in Facebook comments of the week before, too. When his comment is like, great work, Schwartz.
Could be.
As you were talking about the Clean Team, I just want to say I realized that I was thinking of Steel Magnolias and not fried green tomatoes. So,
Easy mistake.
yeah.
My submission for People's Champion of the Week is Henry Wegener, who
Oh,
was
yeah!
our roadside fisherman who
Front
was
page on
fishing for
Saturday.
laughs after water levels receded in Centralia. So he was out there with his stick and his line and his plastic fish and crawdad, and he was fishing for laughs. And a lot of people saw him right in front of Fuller's there, and it was a big...
Very funny.
I gotta tell you what that made me think is, Jared, you're one of the very best at seeing something interesting and just automatically going to take a picture of it.
Yeah.
And so we got that, but then I was just like, how many of these have we missed? Like, there's got to have been other people doing crazy stuff like that didn't get recognition. And I only thought of it after I saw his comment. He works at Don's Delectables, I believe, and they reshared it today. And he was like, in the comments, I didn't ask for recognition, which I thought was hilarious. But there's probably some stuff that we've missed like that. So good job. Good job.
I think it's very clear that he's doing that because he knows it's going to make somebody laugh, which I think is an extremely honorable thing to be doing. And I had the opposite thought. I had the thought that was like, who does this? Like, who just does something to make strangers laugh? And good on them.
So you think it was the first time it's happened?
No. I just mean, I think it's a uniquely noble act.
Fair.
So, People's Champion? Who's our pick?
Daryl. It's Daryl.
Yeah,
I think it's Daryl.
It's Daryl. What a day for Daryl.
Yeah.
Man.
The Daryl Lund sweep. That's what we're calling
We
it.
should just make
Wow.
this Daryl Day.
He did it. Everyone said he couldn't do it, but he did it.
Daryl.
Everyone said he couldn't. This made up thing that we just decided exists.
Facebook comments of the week. One I just saw that I pulled up and liked on something happening at Green Hill. This commenter said, "Damn, Mom, did you hear any of this happening? I love you, Mom."
Oh,
Call her, man.
I like that.
Well, there's been a lot of, we talked about that today. There's been how many riots this year? It's in the story.
It's
I would say we've had more riot charges at Green Hill this year than we've had in any previous year.
you know what? I'm going to say there are more than there should be.
That's very brave of you.
I'm going to say
It's a
the
callback.
kids aren't all right.
It's a callback to your sexual harassment statement.
It's yeah, one's enough. There's six. It's the sixth riot this year, but it does make me wonder. Like they had that the warrant that they served there, and I always just I'm a big believer in coincidences. Usually aren't really coincidences, and it makes me wonder why. Because this happened in September, as did the last one. And it's just getting charged now, but why we're seeing all this all of a sudden, and if it's something maybe in the past that would not have been charged, or just
almost
I
every
shouldn't
single
offer
one.
conjecture, but
Almost every single one of the six we reported on, and like charges were filed more than a month after it
at
happened.
least, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There's something weird about that I don't understand, and it would be very difficult to ask.
Another comment I liked was on a post of, I think it was the all-area volleyball team. The commenter just said, "I don't know who any of these people are or what they do." Why would you comment that?
I sent you
read
the best
story.
comment of the week was on another publication story where they were like, I don't know why they post these and don't allow us to read them on Facebook. And then somebody chimed in and was like,
You were
the
very proud of
Chronicle
that.
in Lewis County has a very awesome Facebook page.
Aw.
Just unprovoked. You know, it meant a lot.
Just a paywall weaker than our southern border, some would say.
I almost went right into my Sally Fields acceptance speech when I started messaging you about it. They like us. They really like us, Aaron.
This is really the Sally
It's
Field
the
episode.
Sally Fields episode and the Daryl Lund episode.
Tried to go for a callback there, that's all.
I like that.
What's
I want to. Can I do a comment?
Go
Yes.
ahead.
So it's actually on the NVN, but it was from the Yelm coverage from not this last weekend, but the one before for football. It was when we posted that they got second place in Yelm. There was a comment that said, "Get her nothing if you don't fail. It ain't the first time. It ain't going to be the last time. I can guarantee you that. But one mistake you don't want to make, and that's drinking and driving and using street drugs. It's always cheaper to pay for a tow truck to take your vehicle home." And it just keeps going like that
Well.
for a long time on the Yelm boys getting second place at state.
Just didn't want them to drink their sorrows away.
I get it. No, I
Some
think
of us
it was,
don't think minors drinking is funny.
I
like
think
Aaron.
it was. I think
That's hilarious.
I think it was commented out of love. I was just so surprised in the context, you know? And it's extremely long.
One thing you guys missed was Headline, Senator Jeff Wilson proposes increased protections for signature gatherers.
I was really surprised you missed that to begin
Well,
with.
you just posted it 7 hours ago, and I assume these protections are, casually throwing a pistol into your knapsack when you go to gather signatures, correct?
Yeah, I don't think that's what it is.
I like the photo that accompanies this story. It's of Jeff Wilson. It's a an amalgam of Jeff Wilson and John Braun and Gollum.
I mean, why? I don't like making fun of people's looks,
What?
dude.
You're
That's
doing that like back-to-back
I'm not even going to give you a
episodes.
chuckle on that. That's yeah.
Who is that?
I don't need to dignify that with an answer. I don't understand the need to do
You've
that.
been doing that on like back-to-back
Are
episodes.
you okay,
man.
Aaron?
Yeah, I'm fine.
We need the cricket soundtrack back.
Does bullying other people based on their appearance bring you joy?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, dude, you know me quite well. Why would you ask that?
I would never.
Are we doing like a recap of the news or something? Is that what we're looking
Yeah,
at?
I got it.
Sure,
I got it up
throw
here.
out whatever you
I'm
got.
gonna do a rundown. Go ahead.
I was going to mention the endangered ESA listing for Chinook salmon on the Chehalis River and elsewhere on the Washington coast may be warranted, according to the National Marine Fisheries Service. Kind of interesting that there's already a development in that story.
Many other news items. One, I didn't even read, but the Nisqually Valley News published it today, and I was like, you know what? That needs to be on the Chronicle, and the headline is simply, Thurston County Man recounts sightings to Sasquatch Organization.
I love that.
I don't know what it's about. We're all going to learn at the same time.
Was it Thurston County Man in their headline?
Nope, it was Lacey
I
Man.
figured.
If you're from Lacey, Tumwater, lots of places in Thurston County, and it becomes a Chronicle story, it often just becomes Thurston County.
I
personally.
know. I knew you were going to do that.
I don't know. I just think it makes it more relevant
That's
to
all right.
many
You're
more
the
people.
editor-in-chief. You get to do that.
There's also United Way of Lewis County is again in need of an executive director. I don't want to go too far into that one because I know no details besides they hired one 3 weeks ago and now they need another one. Basically, it says she was supposed to come up with a plan and they didn't agree with the plan, and so now they're gonna hire a new one. So there's that.
We also have a third and final installment of Smart Acts, the Onalaska High School series. And this one is about how they divided their counselors from being academic and mental health counselors to being one for academics and one for mental health, and how the two now work together to support both aspects for students. It was definitely the hardest of these three stories for me to write because it's kind of it's just a very nuanced idea that they're working on, but it's also really cool. And I think the fact that they have staff dedicated to that specifically is awesome.
There's so much news that didn't make the dump this week. I think it's the most that we've ever had. I don't know why it worked out that way, but go to cronline.com and you can just read about everything.
Because Aaron just wants to talk about the commissioners.
He really does.
We also didn't talk about Lucky Eagle or
Yeah, but that's also not very dumpy.
yeah.
You know,
fair enough.
Hey, you want to talk about all the murders and rapes? We can have a whole other podcast.
No, what I want to talk about is the lighted tractor parade who
There we go.
rolled
There
through
it is.
Centralia, and it was a feat through the rain and the wind. It was
Honestly,
a lot, but it was a really great parade.
Just want to shout out the Centralia Downtown Association. That was the most amazing parade I've ever seen in my life. It was absolutely awful to be standing out there all night. But for the first half of it, it actually stopped raining, and the just parade in general was so stellar. Every float was interesting, funny, or just really well put together, creative, lots of great music, and it flowed really well. There was only one part of it where people got kind of backed up. Mostly it was just a great experience.
In terms of community events, it's unquestionable. That's the greatest innovation in Lewis County in the last 20 years, at least.
It's really, really great.
Plus, Jared got the greatest photo of the Chronicle that's probably ever been published. We didn't publish it, but I didn't see it. I wish you had filed it a little higher in your numbers, and I know why you didn't, because you're it's not about us, right? So you want to do your best possible photos.
That was the last one he took.
It's the best photo.
Yeah.
If you go to the Chronicle's Facebook page, it's our cover photo now. But yeah, it's just a great photo. We have an applicant for photographer. and I sent it to the applicant today and was like, look how awesome our newspaper looks. It's just really wonderful. It's the Abate float with Santa waving to the crowd and flames just like soaring, and it's right in front of the Chronicle.
Like logo on the building.
It's really good. I think it's the first lighted tractor parade I've missed because I was on my deathbed over the weekend. But
poor soul.
Great photo, Jared. Really wonderful job on that.
Yeah. I went up to the roof and I couldn't handle it. It was way
Just
too cold and wet. So I went down and I was on the street and it was only a little better. Like I said, best parade I've ever seen for sure.
That's amazing.
We have an additional comment of the week.
Oh, gosh.
On live video from the WFS Battleground basketball game last night, this commenter says, where have y'all been for Centralia's games? Never a shout-out, picks, nothing. Australia was here playing Centralia a few weeks ago.
We covered it.
Save it for the sports dump.
Nothing.
We covered that.
How you think them kids feel? Disgusting.
Oh, my God.
Disgusting. Yeah, disgusting. That's great. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I just
don't think
never-
the kids actually feel disgusting.
Do you know that we also have a newspaper in Battleground and that this newspaper covers both Chehalis and Centralia?
I mean,
so
even
we were
beyond
also
that, it's just go check the website and see if we covered the thing that you're complaining we didn't cover before you say we didn't cover any.
I'm pretty
Come
sure
on.
those sports guys covered a Centralia game before they covered a Chehalis game.
You know, that'll
actually.
never happen, though. Like, no one's ever going to catch up completely on the coverage when you have 16 schools that you're covering, and all of them could be doing something awesome at any given time, and we might not be there. But we will at least report it.
Well, but
it's
what if you
also-
don't?
Yeah.
Everyone letting down Centralia.
It's also just this kind of idea that like the Chronicle is only the notifications and things that pop up in my feed. You know?
At that time.
Yeah.
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 And we digress.
It's all right.
Anything else
It's
you
never
guys want
gonna
to
not happen.
discuss?
No. I mean, I could talk to you for another hour and a half about Miss Doubtfire, but I won't.
I don't think
The worst. Just the worst. I watched a World War II documentary over the weekend, and I'm still willing to compare.
I would like to do my own Chronicle all area team next week with none of the same names. Can I do that?
Yeah, that's fine. Because we still have football coming, so it'll still be relevant.
Tune in.
Yeah, tune in next week when Schwartz explains how he lost his job as a voice actor for throwing a wild party for his children. Thanks for listening.